always tell people, especially in the times we live in, don't judge a book by its cover. That's the one thing you should never do. Never judge a book by its cover. And especially in trucking, in the trucking industry, it's good to see other drivers helping other drivers out. But there's still a lot of great people out there.
Welcome to Six Figure Trucker, the podcast where we share advice on how to be successful in trucking and have fun while doing so. We'll share stories, news, and advice on how to earn six figures in trucking, and we'll speak to guys and gals that are already doing so. Let's get to the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. Of course, as many of you know that have listened, this is where we elevate and celebrate the driver that moves the trucks, that move the goods, that make your life go round and round. And, a lot of times they're underappreciated, underrated, but not on this program. We like to lift them up. And joining us tonight, we have a very special guest, Reginald Clarke. Reginald, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, Reginald. Now, Reginald and I have been trying to get in touch with each other to do this podcast here for the last 20 minutes or so. Reginald, where are you? Obviously, it's a tough cell phone area.
Right now, I'm outside of Terre Haute, like that's close around Indianapolis. I know there's a storm that came over this way earlier, so I'm thinking that's probably from the storm, because, I've never seen the phone drop so many calls so much. It's a trip, but hey, that's part of the trucker life, man. You got unexpected situations that always happen. You just stay positive and just try and work it out the best way.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed that the phone stays up and running and everything goes smoothly there. But you know what Reginald was talking about there as far as staying positive? Reginald and I had a shared experience on a load was that last week, Reginald?
Yeah, last week, yeah.
And that's one of the reasons we have Reginald Clarke here on the program tonight. We got our wires crossed here internally. I'll go ahead and confess to it. And we had Reginald going the wrong direction. But he was a good sport about it and turned around, made it back to the right direction. But it was not Reginald's mistake. It was on our end. But Reginald, I was struck by your positive outlook. Tell us how much that helps you and why you have such a positive energy.
Man, it helps me a lot, man. I credit that really to my parents growing up, especially my mom, because, I'm originally from the Caribbean, Barbados. So growing up in Barbados, things wasn't always that great, especially in a single mother household. My dad lived up here in the States, but it was like people in the Caribbean always used to think that, once you live in the States, you got it gravy, you got it easy, but they don't realize, no matter what part of the world you live in, you always have own obstacles to overcome. So, I give credit to both my parents, because they had to overcome different obstacles. My dad while living up here, and my mom while taking care of us in Barbados, me and my sister. So, she always just, stayed positive no matter what we were going through. So that's something that I've always taken in life, no matter how bad something is, it's happening for a reason. To show you something, you just got to stay positive and get through it. So I've always taken that with everything that I've ever experienced in life.
Now, let's give the full picture here of what happened on this run last week. I would estimate, this is just an estimate, you had to go out a route about 300 miles. Is that about right?
Oh, man, more than that. It was about, it was from where I was at, when I got the information, we was close around Knoxville, and then we had to go to Pompano Beach, which is about 800 miles, I believe.
Oh, no, I was just talking about, if you would have driven the route up toward Knoxville and then back was about 300 miles, I guess.
Yeah, about that much, yeah. Probably that much. I was about 200 or something miles from Colfax. So, yeah, it was about that much, yeah.
Yeah. Now, in addition, you got sideswiped. No body damage, but there was some damage to the mirror?
Yeah, first time that ever happened in my how many years of driving? I've been driving since 2006.
Gotcha.
And that's the first time that ever happened to me. So, yeah, That's one thing that they taught you in when you're in driving school that hey, you could be driving for 30, 40, 50 years. So something new will happen to you that never happened, and that was the first time that happened to me. But I'm just glad the damage was minimal, and shout out to Norton for helping me out through that situation because other companies might not have helped me out. And, as much of y'all help me out in that situation, so I'm very grateful for that.
Now,
In all areas.
was that a right-hand drive unit or was it left-hand?
Nah, it was a right hand passenger side. First time ever driving one of those. Well, first time ever driving one of those in the States. It was quite an experience. Yeah, it was quite an experience driving one of those up here in Central. You on the like in the Caribbean Europe, they drive like that, but usually on the other side of the road, so it makes it a little bit more comfortable. Now, we're doing that in the States is like, it was some getting used to when you first got on it, but luckily, so I wasn't coming out too rough of an area, so I was able to get comfortable with it, but unfortunately, shoot, somebody got a little bit close to her brother.
I got
So, but luckily, yeah.
What kind of adjustments do you have to make driving from the right-hand side?
Man, not too many. It's just more comfort, I would say. It's just, because you got to do the same thing you're doing if you're driving on the regular side. I use the Smith system. I don't know if you're familiar with that, the Smith system.
Elaborate.
Basically, the Smith system is like different forms of driving that keeps you alert as really picture safety, which always keep your eyes moving. So I'm always watching my mirrors. Staying a safe distance from the vehicles in front of me, even when they're jumping in front of you, and you got to back up. So that's basically like some of the Smith systems techniques. So that's basically what I use when driving any vehicle. Always use the Smith system techniques. I would recommend that to anybody that's you can be a new driver, someone to be driving for years. Definitely check out the Smith system. Because it saves me, I don't know how many times. It saves me every day. Let's put it like that. As far as avoiding accidents.
That program, that system's been around for a long time. When did you start employing it?
From the first time I started driving, I got my license through Conway Freight back in 2006. But Conway Freight, they got bought out, I believe, by XPO in 2015 or something like that. But but that's basically when I learned the Smith system through Conway Freight when I was learning to get my license.
Gotcha.
Working the dock in the evening, doing school in the morning.
Busy man. Now, take us back to Barbados. What was life like there, and how long did you stay there before you came to the States?
I lived in Barbados up till the age of 15. And life is great. No matter it's one situation no matter how much money you got, how much money you don't have, saying you can make the best of life. With me, it's I live about probably 2 or 3 minutes walking distance to the beach.
Oh, wow, that's good.
Yeah, I live in a place called Bridgetown. So that's pretty much the capital of Barbados. So my school was probably what we call primary school, was what you call elementary school up here.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably about. Sometimes I walk to school, sometimes I catch the bus. All depending on what mood I was in. Yeah, because and that's why I go back to say what was taught by my parents, especially my mom. Because sometimes she didn't really have it. So with me, that's why I said when I would walk to school, it's I would take my bus fare because she would give me. I would have bus fare every day. But I would take my bus fare and I would actually save it to get the stuff that I wanted, like toys back then, GI Joes and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so I was working from because my I was working from young.
Little entrepreneur right there.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. Had to get it in. When you want Nintendo games or whatnot, hey, you got to save up. And so if my dad didn't come to send it, that's basically what I was doing. I was just, saving my bus fare, walking home and walking to school, or doing little jobs here and there when I get an opportunity. So that was pretty much life for me. I was playing sports at the time, soccer, cricket. And if you ever heard cricket, it's something like baseball. Yeah, so I was doing that back home, and then whatchamacallit? So I wasn't actually supposed to move to the States till I was like I graduated. But I have an older sister. She's like 4 years older than me. So my dad came for her to bring her up to the States. But then him and my mom decided it was going to take me one time also too, and they let me finish my last 2 years of what they call secondary school down there.
Gotcha.
So then I moved up here when I was 15. And yeah, it's been a great adventure ever since.
Gotcha. We could refer to you as coming to America as the Barbados business boy. I already had all that
Yes,
experience.
sir.
The Barbados business boy, but Barbados businessman now.
Yes, sir.
Now, do you miss Barbados?
Yeah, I mean every day, especially since COVID happened. I haven't had a chance to go back home and see my mom. So that's one of the reasons why I just want to hurry up and get my life back. Saying as far as like schedule wise, so I could go back there. See her on the other side of my family. On my mom's side, most of my dad's side of the family, they're up here in the States, like 90% of them. So, but then 90% of my mom's family is still in Barbados. So,
how often?
Just go back and see them.
Yeah, how often do you get to go back?
I used to go back at least once every year. Sometimes 2-3 times I'll go back within the year.
That Caribbean food certainly is an attractive, magnetic thing to draw you back.
Man, the Caribbean food, just the atmosphere, like just when you go home, it's just like a different kind of vibe, more relaxed. We still got the stuff we got to handle me back home, but it's like you get your mind off of the daily grind, up here that we got in the States, So and then plus family, friends, people you haven't seen in a while, catch up on stuff, go to the beach. Like I said, a 3-minute walk, probably less than that if I run. So it's like just meeting different people even when I go back home. It's always like I always meet somebody in the airport I end up striking up a conversation with. So yeah, it's an experience, but and then with me, that's why some people say my mom always say like, oh, you always in and you always out when you come home. It's like you come home for like 3-4 days, then you gone already. Cause I know how you do it. I'm like, man, shoot, I'm like, gotta work.
I hear you, brother.
Yeah.
You're listening to Reginald Clarke here on the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. And Reginald is sharing with us some of his early days there where he was born and grew up in Barbados till he was 15 years old. And then he moved to the States. And we've already termed him the Barbados business boy. Had a mind and an eye for making $1 back then. And I'm assuming, well, I know, Reginald, you're making $1 now.
Yes, sir. Always on that grind because not only I'm into trucking, but I'm also into videography, photography, and I do my own Caribbean themed events. So I stay moving and going and multitasking.
Now, you've been driving a truck since 2006.
Yes, sir.
Tell us, kind of work us through the stages from 06 to 23. Kind of take us along that path. Drive us down the road, if you will.
Oh, man. Well, let's go. All right. So from 06 to 2013, I was with Conway Freight. That's who I learned to drive with. I did at first, Southern Conway Freight. I did the yard mule. So, that helped me out really a lot in learning how to back up. Because, we got to back up the trails into the dock doors, move stuff around the yard. So, and that was one of the reasons why I was glad that opportunity came open because the guy who was doing the yard mule at the time, because everything back then go by seniority and positions and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But the person who was doing the yard mule at the beginning of the year, that quit. So, and then they had bumped this other guy, Greg, into doing the yard mule, but because he was on the dock working. So when I finished the training school, I got my license and everything. By the time I was going to school, I was working on a dock. So I was ready to get off that dock. So I was like, shit, Yeah, but oh, bro, let me get in it. Let me get in it. Oh, the first week or so, hey, it took my time, but once I got into it, oh yeah, I was on like quickness.
I got
So
you.
So the year meal that I did, because every year you got to bid for you got to bid for your job that go by seniority. So a couple years I worked in the city. I'm not really like driving around the city, I mean, you know how the city, especially Houston, Texas. That's where I was living, and that's where I came to when we came to the states. So I did the city, then did line haul my last 4 or 5 years there. I did line haul.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, like going from like Houston to San Antonio, Dallas, Shreveport, or Austin and back. So I'll leave at night. So I'll do a night line haul. But then I just got I was ready for more of a change because at the time I said I already was into photography, videography, and I started doing my own events. So, corporate time-wise, it was hard for me to get off when I want. Especially like, during the weekends and Fridays because, you got to take off. The board is full. Can't take off, got to work.
Right.
So I was like, I got tired of that. So I was like, let me see what else is out there in the trucking world. So I just took a chance and, I found this one guy, he was hiring, like doing stuff like, over the road. But I'd be home we had to be home on the weekends. So I took that opportunity to do that just to see how the road was. I mean, well, okay, cool, I could do this. You know what I'm saying? Give me a little more flexibility for the weekend. The pay wasn't what I wanted it to be. But sometimes you gotta take a step back or just go to get to the next step you're trying to get to. So
right.
Basically, I did that experience, and then went to Dart. But that's why I'm doing the training. I mean, for Dart. So I got on with Dart as a lease to own operator.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that didn't end too great, but I'm thankful for the experiences that happened with it because up to that time I'd never been in any kind of accident at all in the semi.
Since 2006?
Yeah, this is 2013 this happened. Basically New York. I never gone into New York with a semi. And I didn't know you're not supposed to go on the semis on the parkway.
Yeah.
So long story short, when I realized where it was at, because I realized I saw I was coming up to an underpass, and it was. I was like, oh.
I could see where this is going. I could see where this is going.
Yeah. Yep. So I was like, shoot. Can I make it? I like 13. It said 13.6.
Mm-hmm.
But 13.6.
Did you get stuck or?
Yeah, I got under it, but I guess going into it, it dropped. So when I was paying attention, I kind of slowed the truck down because I was actually bobtailing at the time. Luckily, I didn't have a trailer on me. I was actually bobtailing.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason I was on a part was because I had a detour off. So it was like I went off that detour, because construction or something like that. But I didn't realize that you couldn't go on the partway. So I thought I'm just detouring, saying okay, I'm good. But then when I realized what happened, I was like, oh snap. So I'm under this what's called the underpass now. It's a long underpass too. It wasn't even no short underpass.
Right.
It was a long underpass.
Long way to the other side of the tunnel there. Yeah.
Man, I tell you, I dropped them airbags and I crept out of there. As soon as I clear it, I thought about as soon as I clear it, here comes Mr. Popo. I was like, Lord. They didn't give me no ticket or nothing like that. But the only thing that did happen was that I did tip the stack of the truck. It did get tipped.
I got you.
So, I did report to Dart. And then they were like, yeah, you're 3 months in up yet. We got to let you go. I was crushed. Yeah, it was like I said, it happened in New York. And So it kind of had me feeling the way, but like I said, I take full responsibility, you know, for my actions because, like, it teaches you, like, pay extra attention, especially when going up to the East Coast. So the
Yeah.
East Coast is way different than the South
Yeah,
and
exactly.
other parts.
How long were you?
Yeah,
How long
so
were you stuck in there?
I probably got through the tunnel probably about 2 to 3 minutes,
Oh,
probably.
just when you released the airbags, you were able to get through.
Yeah, I dropped the airbags. I crept, and I got through it. But that was my lesson right there.
That,
Trucks are not allowed on the parkway.
yeah, that's a painful lesson right there. But like you said,
Yeah.
I mean, you got the positive vibes, you got the great outlook, you learned something from everything. We're listening here to Reginald Clarke on the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. And if you're just joining us, Reginald is what we have termed the Barbados business boy. Of course, he's a man now, making money in America, working in the States, and everything's looking good for him. And Reginald, tell us a little bit about, we were talking about working in the States, and we all know that you have had quite a bit of experience driving since 2006, but you also have this other venture you touched on. Tell us all about it there. You're, I guess, an event planner. Would that? I'll let you tell us what you do.
Basically, I create different Caribbean themed events, whether it be parties, fashion shows, brunches, just different ones. I do it under my company, Jugglers United, which is a company that I formed back in 2000 I formed it in 2007. Started out as basically like photography, where I was covering a lot of events in Houston as a photographer.
Right.
And then eventually I started doing other promoters like, man, you should do the events, because I was always giving them my days for events to do. So they were like, man, you should start doing events. So I just turned in and started like doing my own events. And at the same time I was helping other promoters like market their events. So I created a site called jugglersunited.com, which basically would showcase all the events that go on, the different career events that go on all over Houston, and eventually started like all over the world. So right now, I probably do annually. I probably do about over close to 30 events.
Oh wow! So you stay pretty busy,
Yeah.
mostly weekends.
Yeah, mostly during the weekend. Like this weekend, I actually have one that takes place tomorrow. It's called Ignite Houston. It's an all-inclusive event. So basically, you pay one price, and then you come in and you eat and drink for free all night long.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
That's a nice thing there in a big city like Houston. I also was going to ask you about these events that you put together. What's the largest one you've hosted and managed, and what are some of the more intimate ones? What's the size of crowd we're talking about in these events?
Like the one for this Friday, Ignite Houston, we usually get like up to over 800 people, patrons, for it. Of course, and that's been going. I've been doing that one now for about 5, maybe 6 years, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. So we I always look to take the next step with it. So hopefully within the next couple of years, we'll be in the thousands, as far as patrons go, and of the production of everything that goes on with the event. And that's the main thing. Like I tell everybody that works on the team is like, the money and everything will come. The main thing is making sure that the patrons have a great time and a great experience.
Absolutely.
That's the main thing. We don't worry about nothing else.
How hard is it to manage 800 to 1,000 people?
It's easy, to be honest with you. For me, it is. I mean, it just comes natural. Once you have a great team, and that understands that, hey, something might pop up, but we plan for stuff to pop up if it does pop up, and let's take care of it.
Gotcha. Got to have a plan in place.
Yeah, you got to have an A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
I got you. Now, do you stay in the Texas area, or do you branch out?
Yes. Well, I've done events, Dallas, which was to do more of our brands up there. Dallas, Austin, done a couple in Miami with some partnerships. We're looking to do Atlanta probably next year with some partnerships with some other promoters that I know up there. So, yeah, the I always say, keep growing.
I got
That's
you.
the main thing, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
What was that?
I said Atlanta, Miami. Those are booming cities. Obviously, with is there always a Caribbean theme or not necessarily?
Yeah, there's strong Caribbean scenes in those cities, but like in any community, or there's always something that might be missing. So if you see that niche, if you have that niche for something, and you see that hey, there's a possibility to do something here that's not being done, go ahead and do it. So just like in Houston, there's things that could be doing in Houston that some of us other Korean promoters ain't doing in Houston, that someone might see, hey, this ain't happening, let me try this and do this,
Right.
So,
right.
yeah, you always got to be looking around.
What's the most happening city you've had an event at? I mean, the one that really just took off. So, hey, man, that was a great night right there.
Oh, gotta be Houston. I mean, that's home base right there. I mean, definitely, I would go back to my first ever event, which was my birthday party. It's called Apex, which stands for I might have went blank. Aquarius Pisces Extravaganza.
Oh, okay.
That's what Apex stands for. Yeah, so I'm a Pisces, March 14th.
Gotcha.
So the first year I did that, I mean, this was my first ever event. And, up to that, I was like, the photographer that was covering most of the events in Houston. But I got like over 500 so many people attending my birthday party that night. And that kind of made me feel like, dang. So it was a lot of love showed to me, at the time. And I'm very appreciative to that up to this day, because it's really humbling experience to know that, people will come out, to celebrate with you in a time like that.
Was that kind of what touched it all off there for your own birthday party? And you're like, man, this was big. I think I could do this.
Yeah. And shout out to, Ronco of Yamcast Promotions. He's the one who does a lot of the reggae themed events in Houston. So he was one of and he's one of my biggest clients as far as like taking pictures at his events. So he was one of the ones who really kind of pushed me to do it. Cause at first I was like, I ain't trying to do no party, man. I ain't trying to do no event, man. I see all some of these events be showing up. I'll see someone promote something for all this time, man. Like, nobody would show up. I try to have that feeling. Those are rebounds.
I got you.
But he was like, Reggie, do it. Everybody knows, respects you and rides with you. And, you always, got the right days. And even when I see promoters doing stuff that, they can help build their events and brands, I always give that advice to them. Is it's up to them to take it or not. Not everybody is receptive to, constructive criticism. Right.
Now, were you engaged in photography before you got into events, or did it come after?
But the photography is what started it all off, basically. Because actually, I was you could say, as they say, you're a dancer boy.
Yeah.
I was one of the people in the that was at the events that was basically like getting the party started. Me and my crew.
I got you.
Yeah, and that's kind of how the name of our company got started, Jugglers United, because at the time, like the crew that I was going out with, it was like going to these events and we dancing. We were all like either in school, working. We were all doing different things. So it's like people always ask us like, "What's the name of your group?" I'm like, "We ain't no group. We just friends that hang out." But then it got to a point where it's like, let's make it official. So we call ourselves Jugglers United because we're always doing a bunch of people doing different things. But when we come together, we unite as one and do something together. So that's how the name kind of formed.
That's a cool name for a group that does that kind of stuff. That's a really cool name, Jugglers United.
Yes, sir. It just evolved from there, from the dancing, and then realized that the photography of events were already being covered on the Caribbean scene. So then that's when we went to doing the photography, and just everything just expanded and started growing from there.
You're listening to Reginald Clarke here on the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. Reginald, I've picked up that everybody calls you Reggie, those people close to you.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to call you Reggie. Now, Reggie, we've talked a lot about the event planning, party scene, throwing a good party, putting one together, the photography involved. How does that compare or mesh with being behind the wheel?
It's, what's the best say? You got to have a great team on both sides, you know, and with the jugglers part, it definitely takes a great team, because when I'm driving, I can't do much of, you know, handling that stuff with the event planning and doing other things. So basically on my downtime, that's when, you know, I really would kind of put stuff together as far as like, you know, graphic-wise and stuff like that, and promotion-wise. And then, you know, everybody got their own task. So whether it be a social media person, the grounds person that goes out to different places, you know, so talk to different business owners as far as restaurants, stylist places, all different forms. So it takes that team to handle it, you know, while I'm driving. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, they'll say we have a great, you know, team to work with, like at Dorda. Shout out to Amanda. you know, who's good people. You know, it makes it really easy for me to do what I'm looking to do as far as like on the road.
I got you.
So, I mean,
now talk a little bit about your life on the road. Let's kind of bring you back to between the lanes here on the road. How often are you on the road? We've established that your weekends are kind of pretty filled with doing the party scene, throwing the parties. But how much time do you spend on the road in a given week?
It's been pretty much just 5 days of the week, really, for the last since I've been with Northern. You know what I'm saying? It really been just like 5 days a week. Although I've tried to get that weekend running, you know, I've definitely tried to do that, because, you know, one of the reasons why I even ended up, you know, saying, I said, everything happens for a reason. No matter what you go through in life, everything happens for a reason. So I was my own owner op during this time last year. I was my own owner op. I just got a Pete, new Pete. Well, not new Pete, but, you know, it's basically with the group that I was with. I was in the freight line, Columbia. Right. Then I got a Pete from one of the guys in the thing. So, you know, it was going good. We had the contracts we had. Basically, I was home every night. Every night. Like, you know, I would go down the radio, be back home, you know, plus I've been home every night. So I was up in Oregon back in August, and engine went out on the Pete.
Oh, it did.
Yeah, it was one of the things where it was like, when that part goes, it goes. Nothing but a part, but it was just one of the things where, hey, that it happens. It ain't had to do with the upkeep. It was upkeep. It's just one of them parts that, you know, in trucking, it goes. If you have your maintenance fund to cover it, you know, you go.
Right.
Unfortunately, at a time for me, like I said, I barely had a Pete for 3 weeks.
Now, what part of Oregon were you in?
I was in. I had just came out. Driving through the potato patch. If I know you're familiar with that area.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had just come out of potato patch, and I heard a boop. I was like, "What the? What's that?"
Yeah, not a good sound coming from the Pete there.
Yeah, not good at all. I know you like, but I literally just come downhill, coming out of the potato patch where you could see, like, look down into the valley. So I was like, so I pulled over, you know, checked everything out. The truck was still running. I was like, I'm turning off. And then it didn't turn back on. Pretty much. It was like, I was actually taking the load up to Washington. So long story short, we was looking at about nearly $30,000 in repairs because of that.
And that's where things change.
So, Yeah, so like I said, I was in a group that basically, saying we all on our ops or got some regular drivers who drive for other drivers. So at the time, one of my other friends, he had a truck that was open called one of his drivers had got hurt. So he's like, "Oh man, let's come drive for me then for a little bit till we get it back up rolling." I was like, "Yeah, let me do that." So I was doing that, and then all of a sudden, like the contracts that we had and everything just kind of came to a grinding halt. Like, like what we were doing every day wasn't happening.
I got
so it was
you.
like the money that I was accustomed to making, I wasn't making. So long story short, kind of fell into a little hole. So I kind of toughed it out for 7-8 months. But then I have a little boy now. He was born in December. So I was like, everything's going great otherwise, but I got goals that I'm trying to make in life.
Gotcha.
So I mean, I got events going on, but I still have my trucking plan because I'm trying to drive. I'm not trying to drive trucks all my life. Trust me at that. I mean, hey, there's a certain time you gotta retire like Jordan. Hey, let me bag it in and I walk out on top. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, go out as the GOAT right there, man.
I try to be no super trucker, but hey, I want to come on top. Realty is where it's at. So I got there's stuff to the bag. So I'm always got my goals. So right now that was kind of affecting my goals. So
I hear you, brother.
Yeah.
Now, how old? Your son was just born this past December.
Yes, sir.
So he's 6 months old.
Yeah, he about a little bit over 6 months. Yeah.
Now,
Amari,
I got you. That I'm sure probably changed your goals, like you were talking about there, as far as you got to come out and be the Jordan of the drivers there. How has that changed your outlook? I mean, we already know that Reginald Clarke comes to work with a positive outlook, but knowing that you've got a 6-month-old son there, how has that changed your approach?
It hasn't really, to be honest, because only thing that I say really kind of bothers me was like not staying out like over the weekends like I would like to, because since I don't get to see him during the week, I see him over FaceTime his mom when she FaceTimes me, and I get to he all the time. He worried about his bottle and what's going around here. He was trying to pay attention to me, but hey. But I miss him. I want to see him. Cause that's my first kid. But at the same time too, he got goals to me. I gotta fund his Roth IRA.
Right.
So that way, when he ain't got worried about no scholarships or nothing like that if you don't get one when he's 18. That's taken care of.
You got to take care of that in the early years. Now, is he your only child?
Yes, sir. That's my first and only.
I got
and then I want to have more too. So gotta stay on that grind. And then plus, helping out family wise, and friends, and just my business, with the events and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff that I still got accomplished. So I mean, like I said, trucking has always been, saying the backbone of me doing what I want to do as far as accomplishing my goals. A lot of people ask me, like, do you actually like driving? I'm like, I do. Because, I mean, one, you get to experience so many different places while out here on the road.
Oh, absolutely. And,
meet tons.
I mean,
meet tons of people.
You've been doing it for 17 years. Let's go down the road and talk about let's start first. Obviously, coming from Barbados, you've seen a lot of pretty things. But on the road, tell us the coolest thing that you've come across.
Coolest thing I've come across? I would really say the people that I've met. I would really say that, especially across America, where there's so much cultural diversity.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I always tell people, especially in the times we live in. Don't judge a book by its cover. That's the one thing you should never do. Never judge a book by a cover, because some of the people who you see with that screw face that you might think might be an a-hole could be the greatest person in the world.
Have you experienced that personally, where you thought you were going to get into something with a certain type of person, that it was going to be that the person would turn out to be this way, but they were the exact opposite in your travels?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Especially in trucking, in the trucking industry, it's good to see other drivers helping other drivers out. I know I talk to other drivers, it might not be like how it used to be years ago, but there's still a lot of great people out there, whether they're truckers or just an average person, that'll help you out. Like I remember one year I actually had a blowout on my steer, and it was like I was going to a construction area, and something hit that steer, because it was brand new steers, brand new, fresh out the oven. And I don't know, it's just like coming out of that construction, and it happened on the passenger side. So like the steer blew out, and then thank the Lord that I was able to hold it, and I had a reefer trailer on me at the time, and it was light, it was a light load. So got it at a standstill. But while there on the side of the road, a lot of people came up to me, and I was out in the middle of nowhere heading towards the valley down there in Texas. Mm-hmm. And just a amount of people that stopped to see, hey, are you okay? So even the state troopers, you good? You know what I'm saying? You don't need no help? Like, no, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Got a record coming, But whether it was, saying every type of race activity, that stopped and just check on, hey, you good? Saying you right? Anything? I'm saying I've met a couple of those people I even stayed in contact with up to today.
Wow.
Yeah, I post something in my WhatsApp status, they'll comment, I do vice versa, just chit chat, just see how you doing, man, So it's like, there are a lot of good people out there.
I guess that gives you a lot of faith in humanity when you see that kind of response, reception, reaction from people.
Yes, sir.
You're listening to Reginald Clarke here on the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. He's in a Spotty reception area as he's out on the road doing what he does best. And, Reginald, we're going to have to sign off here. Thank you so much for joining us. Enjoyed immensely hearing your stories there. If you can hear us and if you could sign us off, feel free to do so.
You want to make your own schedule and you want to enjoy your long weekend, Driveaway is the best for you.
Well, I believe we have lost Reginald there. We have lost him, but we do thank him for joining us on the Six Figure Trucker, brought to you by Norton Transport. We will have another episode for you next week, as we always do. Everybody be safe out there.
Six Figure Trucker is brought to you by Norton Transport. Norton Transport is a drive-away trucking company that customers can rely on. It offers excellent independent contract driving opportunities to professional, courteous, and qualified drivers that can provide the kind of service we deliver. If you're interested in learning more about Norton or just want to subscribe to the show, check out 6-figuretrucker.com. That's 6-figuretrucker.com.